The morning sun broke through the cracked blinds of a small, dusty apartment where silence spoke louder than words. A single father named Ethan sat at the edge of his bed, his calloused hands rubbing the sleep from his weary eyes. Life hadn't been kind to him lately, not since the accident that took his wife 3 years ago, leaving him with their little girl, Emma, and a mountain of unpaid bills. His days began before dawn and ended long after sunset, working double shifts as a mechanic at a rundown auto shop just outside town. He barely earned enough to keep food on the table, but every night, when he tucked Emma into bed and she whispered, "I love you, Daddy," it reminded him that love, not money, was what kept them alive. Backhand index pointing right before we go deeper into this story. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of doing good even when no one's watching, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to channel name. Your support keeps these heartfelt stories alive. That Monday morning started like any other. The shop smelled of grease, burnt rubber, and the faint trace of despair. Ethan had been working on a beat-up truck when a red 1969 Ford Mustang rolled up, its engine coughing like an old man catching his breath. The car was beautiful despite its wear, a classic that had seen better days. Behind the wheel sat a woman in her early 30s, her sunglasses hiding eyes that seemed to have stories of their own. She looked out of place in that dusty corner of town, elegant yet lost. When she stepped out, Ethan noticed her crisp white shirt, soft perfume, and the nervous way she tucked her hair behind her ear. Her name was Claire. She told him her car had broken down miles from the city, and she didn't trust anyone else to handle a car that rare. Ethan nodded and pushed the Mustang into the garage with quiet determination. He didn't talk much. Years of hardship had taught him that people who talk too much often have nothing real to say. But something about her made him want to help more than usual. Maybe it was the way she thanked him. Not with a polished smile, but with genuine relief. As Ethan worked, Claire watched silently. The air was thick with the scent of oil and rain, the kind of atmosphere that holds unspoken stories. He worked with precision, his strong hands moving with care, his forehead streaked with sweat and grease. When the repair stretched into hours, he refused to overcharge her. Even though he badly needed the money for his daughter's school fees, he simply said, "You had a rough day, ma'am." "Let's just call a fair deal." Claire seemed taken aback. In her world, people always wanted something: attention, favour, or money. But this man wanted none of it. As the days passed, Claire found excuses to return. Sometimes she brought her car for small checkups. Sometimes she just stopped by to talk. She learned that Ethan had once dreamed of owning his own auto shop, but had given up after losing everything to hospital debts and tragedy. He never complained, though. He smiled for Emma's sake, even when his stomach growled at night. Claire admired that quiet strength, the kind that didn't seek recognition. One afternoon, as a thunderstorm rolled across the horizon, Claire arrived again, this time with a look of worry. She found Ethan outside the shop, soaked to the skin, working on a customer's truck. The rain poured harder, but he refused to stop. When she asked why, he said simply, "If I don't finish this job tonight, that man can't deliver goods tomorrow. And if he doesn't, he might lose his contract." Everyone's fighting their own battles, you know. Something shifted inside her then. The billionaire in her world would have dismissed that as small thinking, but the woman inside her saw something profound. She saw integrity, something rare and priceless. Over the next few weeks, Claire began to visit more often, not as a customer, but as a friend. She learned about Emma, the bright little girl who drew stars on her father's lunchbox and said she wanted to be an astronaut. Ethan's face lit up whenever he spoke of her. But behind that smile, there was always a shadow. Fear that one medical emergency, one missed rent, could destroy everything. Claire's secret weighed on her. She wasn't just a woman with a broken car. She was the CEO of Harrington Motors, a billion-dollar automotive empire her late father had built. But she never told Ethan. She wanted to see who he was when there was nothing to gain from her. And now she knew. He was the kind of man her company needed. But more importantly, the kind of soul this world was losing. One evening, Ethan's life took another cruel turn. The shop owner announced he was shutting down. Business was slow, debts were high, and everyone would be out of work by the end of the month. Ethan stood frozen, his heart pounding. Without that job, he had no way to pay rent, no way to keep Emma in school. That night, after putting Emma to sleep, he sat on the floor, staring at the peeling wallpaper, feeling utterly defeated. He whispered to the empty room, "I'm trying, Sarah. I really am," as if his late wife could still hear him. The next morning, as he packed his tools, Claire arrived again, this time dressed differently. No sunglasses, no uncertainty. Her voice carried calm authority. She asked him to take a drive with her. Confused but too tired to argue, he agreed. She took him out of town, past the hills, to a large glass building with a massive sign that read Harrington Motors HQ. Ethan blinked, not understanding. When they stepped inside, people greeted her respectfully. "A good morning, Miss Harrington." It hit him like thunder. Claire Harrington, the billionaire automotive heiress, the woman whose car he'd fixed without asking for more, whose friendship he'd treated as genuine, not opportunity. He stood there speechless, feeling like he didn't belong. But Claire smiled gently and said, "You once told me that everyone's fighting their own battles. So are you, Ethan, and I think you've fought enough alone." She offered him something he'd never expected, a position in her company's design and restoration division, with full benefits and a salary that could finally give him and Emma the life they deserved. Ethan refused at first. He said he couldn't accept charity, but Claire shook her head. "This isn't charity. This is recognition. You fix cars like they're alive. You see people like they're human. That's what this world needs." A month later, Ethan moved into a modest but comfortable home near the company's training centre. Emma got into a good school, her laughter filling rooms that had long been empty of joy. Ethan became a respected name at Harrington Motors, not because of his position, but because of his story. The story of a man who kept going when life broke him, who fixed more than just cars. He fixed hearts with his kindness. Claire often visited, no longer just his employer, but his dearest friend. Sometimes, when she watched Ethan and Emma together, she realized something money had never taught her. The richest people are not the ones with everything, but the ones who never stop giving, even when they have nothing left. Months later, at a company event, Claire told Ethan that the car he'd fixed that first day was her late father's favorite Mustang. He'd bought it when the company was just a dream. She said, "You didn't just fix an engine that day. You fixed something in me too." Ethan's eyes welled up, and for the first time in years he let himself cry, not from pain but from gratitude. Backhand index pointing right if this story touched your heart. If you believe that one act of kindness can change a life, please like, share, comment and subscribe to Channel Name. Your support helps us bring more real and emotional stories to you. Speech Balloon special request. Comment below what lesson you learned from Ethan and Claire's story. Your words might inspire someone who's struggling right now. As the camera pans out, the sun sets over the Harrington Motors building, golden light reflecting off the restored red Mustang parked outside. In its reflection stands a man who once had nothing but his will to keep going, now living proof that kindness, even in silence, can build bridges between the broken and the powerful. And sometimes all it takes is one small act, fixing a car, helping a stranger to set a destiny in motion.